Welcome. I'll start over again. My name is Kelley Williamson. I'm the plant-based kitchenista if you haven't met me before. We do these classes about every 2 weeks, and we're always doing everything, of course, is all plant-based. We do everything without cooking without oil. If we don't cook with oil, we usually use 3 things. We use vegetable broth or stock, so we'll do that. Water or white wine, and white wine is usually in tomato sauces and that. So I don't do a lot of white wine, but if you ever do, just buy the box, the Franzi in a box, the white wine, and use it that way because you don't use a lot, and you can keep it in your fridge or keep it on the counter for a long, long time. So, or you can always have fun and have a glass of wine and cook at the same time too. So today we're going to do the tofu banh. It's actually one of my favorites. I love this sandwich, and there's so many ways that you could do this with a Sriracha mayo. So you don't have to do the Sriracha in the mayo if you don't want to. You could do other flavors. You could leave it plain. You could leave it more mustardy if you're not really big on anything that's kind of like spicy hot type of thing. But that is completely up to you. What I do is I bring you the recipes and give you kind of the base of the recipes, and then you guys get to mix them up and make them your own, which is the fun part. And then we're also going to do a miso roasted cauliflower. So just having, just the all kinds of vegetables and the sandwich and the cauliflower and everything like that. It's going to be a really good dinner tonight. Jerry's looking forward to it. Yep. So with that, I'm going to have Jerry come over and introduce himself, and then we're going to get cooking. So I will, and if I look over this way, it's just because there's a computer right here, so I can actually see anything that's being text, and then I can let people in while Jerry's talking. So.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Jerry Casados. If you don't know me, first timers, I'm plant-based nutritionist. I'm also an instructor for Dr. Manju's Start Solution program. So I'm just trying to have a private practice and get people healthy, transition to a plant-based diet and lifestyle. We've been plant-based now 15 years, so still hanging in there, doing good. So anyway, if you have any questions about nutrition, be glad to answer. Our website information, we'll have to post it there in a second. But you can email me if you have any questions on nutrition. I do free 30-minute consultations. If you're interested in that, any adjustments to your diet, not losing weight, whatever you need, I can answer those questions for you. But I'm here to just behind the camera and eat food.
Or so, yeah, behind the camera and eat the food, yeah. Definitely. And then he lets me know, he kind of signals me when there's a question that pops up. So feel free to put in chat anything that you want. If you're looking for things like substitutions, or, if you're like, oh, I don't like tofu, what would be the substitutions for that? Just ask, I'm happy to share. This is all about building a community and just, helping everybody and stuff live a healthy lifestyle. So learning how to, cook fun ways, try not to do recipes that, this one looks like it has a lot of steps, but it's actually pretty easy steps, but more trying to get simple recipes out there that are really good that you're going to love and want to make over and over again. Because if you're like me and anybody else, and I'm the same way, you can get in a rut. You can cook the same 5 recipes or 3 recipes and stuff week after week after week. And it's nice to have these. I think Jerry actually, we do quite a bit of mixing up and stuff, but I think Jerry loves the Thursday classes because then he gets to try something new or one of his old favorites comes back. Yeah. All right, so we're going to start with a couple things. So I'm going to switch it around. So I'm going to do, I need to get the marinated tofu in the oven. I need to get the miso cauliflower in the oven. So we're going to do kind of jump around a little bit. So sorry if you like things in order. I'll try to keep it in order as much as I can, but I'll show you how to make the different things. So the marinated tofu. So just regular, very firm tofu. And, you can definitely buy a press and press it if you want. Usually what I'll do is just the night before when I know I'm going to make something, I'll take the tofu out, drain all the liquid, and I always use the very firm. And then I'll just put some paper towels underneath it. If you want it even drier, you could put a couple more paper towels on the top and then go ahead and put some weight on it, and it'll just keep, taking as much moisture as it out. When you usually do this and it soaks up through the whole paper towel, it usually gets it's pretty dry, but you can make it, when you press it, you can make it almost that thin where it's very dry. So I'm just going to pull it out here, and there's actually a little crumb, so I'll just pull that off to the side. So on the recipe, it says that, you can do the bite-sized pieces. So you can do it, like little tiny bite-sized pieces, like maybe medium size, or you can do it in strips. It's completely up to you. So I think I'm going to start in strips, but I'm going to cut it down and not do long strips. Just like maybe like about an inch, maybe 1.5 inches. So we'll just start. So just grab your knife, and usually across tofu, you can usually get 6 cuts. And that's about the size that you want. The reason why it's probably about 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit more, is that way when you're doing the slices or you're doing the chunks, they hold up better. If you get it too thin, then everything falls apart and you get pretty much a crumble. All right, so then what I do, so I just turn them over and I stack them. And then you go 3 slices across the top for strips. And you can even do this when you're cutting them, when you're actually making the dice. Same way, it's just easy way to handle tofu. Nice when everything sticks together because then you get a whole bunch of slices or chunks right away. So keep the chunks off to the side. So now I've got strips. So they're long, they're probably about 4 inches. I don't want that, so I'm gonna actually do it in thirds on the top too, so across. So that way I've got kind of chunks, but not really chunks. All right, so we've got size. So just like I said, just because I just preference. So I got sizes that are probably what, about 1.5 inches long, and then they're about 1/2 inch in depth, which is pretty good. They'll cook up really fast. So let me grab the dish. Just take your tofu, separate it out. That way, make sure you separate it just that way you've got all this, the sauce and the marination. The marinating stuff will actually get on the tofu, all sides. And I know there's a lot of people that are like, tofu. You know, Jerry has a lot of people he talks to and they're like, oh gosh, you're gonna make me eat tofu. I'm not a big, I eat it. I mean, I have no problem with it, but I'm not a big fan of it just, you know, like this. So a lot of times I would say, not a lot of times, but almost every recipe I use it in, like if I have like a Chinese salad or something like that, I always bake it. I like it baked, and I would say Jerry was not a fan of tofu and started until I started like marinating it and baking it. So that's one way to do it. If you don't like tofu, let me grab a towel. If you don't like tofu, then you could use eggplant, which would be something that you could do. You could use mushrooms. You could also, in this sandwich, if you wanted to, you could do jackfruit. And that's another thing that a lot of people are using now. And you can just marinate jackfruit, exact same, you know, everything, all the ingredients, and marinate it for a while. And then it'll soak up and still give you that kind of like that food texture, which is really nice. All right, so the tofu is going to take, you've got 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. If you don't want maple syrup, you can use date paste. You could actually use some of the like the no sugar substitutes, which is like monk fruit, that type of thing if you wanted to, agave, all completely up to you. So I've got maple syrup and then I got rice wine vinegar. So that's why it's really light, is because I just mixed them together because I was running out of my dishes. So I have that. So you're going to have the acid, but you're also going to have a little bit of a sweet, which is really nice. Then if you follow along, I've got tamari. So low sodium tamari, or if you don't have tamari and you've got soy sauce, the same thing. I just use low sodium because Jerry and I, you know, what I try to do is keep as much sodium and things out of the food that I cook, just preference. And then if we want, like if I want salt, I like salt. Jerry doesn't. So if I do that and stuff, then I can put salt on the table if I want to do that. So then I've got the low sodium. This is tamari. But like I said, soy sauce works. Coconut aminos is another thing that you could use. You've got the Bragg's aminos. So if you've got any of those, you can substitute that and it's a 1-for-1. Okay, so we got the tamari in there. Then we've got sriracha. So a little bit of spice. If you don't like sriracha, you could also use like the like gochujang if you wanted to, which is really popular. Bobby Flay, it's one of his favorite ingredients now, as he always talks about. Or you can use like a sweet Asian chili sauce, something that just gives a little bit of a kick. But if you don't like anything that's spicy, leave it completely out. I'm just gonna put that in there. All right. And then we got toasted sesame seeds. I'm going to add those at the end. I actually found that I didn't have the regular sesame seeds. I have the black sesame seeds, which I love because they're really pretty when you put them on any type of dishes. So I'm going to add those to the end. When you get black sesame seeds, you can toast them the exact same way. So you just put them in the oven, 350, put them on like a baking sheet and shake it, but really watch them because they will go from nice to burnt in a matter of just like a minute. So when you're in there, just kind of like, you know, stand around your oven, do it for about a minute, minute and a half, shake it, do it for about another minute and a half, and then take them out. You'll start smelling them, but definitely take them out because otherwise you're going to burn them. Let's grab a spoon, a couple bigger spoons so you can mix. So just kind of give it a toss because tofu, you know, when it's before it's baked, can be kind of fragile. and it doesn't, even though it's extra firm, it'll tend to fall apart. So just kind of, you know, grab the spoon, just do a quick little toss. And you're going to want to make sure, you know, you could mix up the sauce ahead of time, then add your tofu. But if you didn't, if you did it just like I did, just make sure your sriracha is mixed up quite a bit. It smells really good. It's got a little bit of spicy, a little bit of sweet, and a little bit of acid, which is all the umami stuff, which is everybody loves. Okay, so then I've got the sesame seeds. So there we go. So it still has the sauce in the bottom, which I'm going to add to the tofu. So when I'm baking it, I'll just add some more sauce to it. But look at the black sesame seeds. Aren't those pretty? And if you actually had the white ones too, the white sesame seeds, the regular ones, you could mix in the white and the black sesame seeds and have a really pretty look on something like this. All right, so then grab the spoon. Doesn't need to be on the floor because I'll flip over it. Baking sheet lined with parchment paper. And this is one that you could make the day ahead of time. So you could do the tofu, the pickles, everything else, the pickled vegetables, or you could actually do it like right now. So even though it says, you know, refrigerate it, which does make it thicker, you don't have to. Got a lot of sesame seeds on that one, so let me just spread that around. Okay, so is there any nutritional information for this recipe available? There's not on the actual recipes and stuff, but if you want that, just email me at Kelley, K-E-L-L-E-Y, at Plant Based Kitchen, and I will do that, yeah. Or email Jerry Casados, yeah, we'll do that. As a sriracha as a substitute, what else can I use? Yes, you could do, so it depends. If you don't want spicy, then you could do something like gochujang, which is, it's a really nice type of flavor. It doesn't add a lot of spice. You could do, if you want spicy, but you want more sweet spicy versus the sriracha, you could actually do, it's the sambal leek sweet chili paste. And then there's all kinds of like sweet chili sauces that are out there that will give you a really, really good flavor with this without adding heat. Those would be the things I would, or you could actually, another one, if you want more just sweet, the hoisin sauces. So make sure though, when you look at the hoisin sauces that are out there, because it's like, you know, the really thick brown sauce, you want to make sure that it doesn't have bad ingredients in it, but a lot of them and stuff that a lot of different brands don't, and those are really good. So it would just give this nice texture on it, but not have anything that's hot. Yeah, you gotta make sure, like the hoisin sauce, every once in a while we'll do oil. So make sure that you get ones without oil. So here we go. The sauce is on there, getting ready to go into the oven. So I'm gonna get that and start baking that up. I'll put that on the bottom. All right, so now we want to get the cauliflower. And I didn't use all the sesame seeds because I figured that I can add those more towards the end too. So I can always add some more, which is pretty. I always talk about like, this is the fun part. Like if you could come home every night and have somebody have it like somebody like a magic person or something like that is all, you know, it's got everything all chopped up and you just come home and stuff and you're like, okay, I just need to put this together or that type of thing. How fun, right? I would agree with that. All right, cauliflower. So same thing, we're gonna put it on a parchment lined baking sheet, but I have one over here, or you can do the Silpat if you've got either one and you prefer the Silpat. So I'm gonna combine, so I've got the miso. So just a regular white yellow miso that we have. And miso, one of the things that you kind of watch, especially if you're, you know, sodium content stuff, it can have quite a bit of sodium. Especially since we're going to put the low sodium tamari. So they don't have ones that are low sodium, but they're you just got to be careful, like just taste it. And maybe when, like I always say, when I do recipes is I'll say 2 tablespoons, but maybe when you try it, start out with 1 and start out with, you know, maybe like a half a tablespoon of low sodium tamari or something like that. So start low and then add to it so that way, then you can write on the recipe, ooh, I really want the 1 tablespoon or I want the 2 tablespoons of the miso. Because you want to make sure, because even though I do this and a lot of people have tried these recipes and I love the way they taste, you may say, I'm not so big on spices or too much sodium or too much something like that. So always make sure to go low and add more, because if you go high and you don't like it, you throw it away, and I don't want you to do that. All right, so you got miso. So we're gonna put 2 tablespoons of vegetable broth. If you don't have vegetable broth or stock, water. I'm just gonna eyeball it. And this one, I know a lot of people usually ask like the different one. This one's one the Costco. So Costco all the time, doesn't all the time. They usually carry bone broth and things like that. But this is one that they actually had. So whenever I see the different vegetable broths and stuff, because they're all real low sodium, and I see them at Costco, I'll buy like 4 or 5 boxes, and they'll have like 12 per box. So I've got a whole bunch of boxes downstairs because I like them. All right, then we've got the low sodium. So we've got the 1 tablespoon of low sodium tamari. You could use soy sauce, coconut aminos, Bragg's, whatever you've got in there. Then you've got the rice vinegar. Never used rice vinegar in my life until I went plant-based, and now we use it. It's like a healthy recipe, which is really good. Then red pepper flakes. So this is the one too. So says half a teaspoon. So if you don't like the heat, don't add it. But or the same time as maybe you just do a pinch to start with, and then you can always add it. But you don't want to make it so hot. We had friends and stuff that we used to go out to dinner with and stuff, and they'd order something, back in they were still eating meat and things like that, but they'd order like these burgers with all kinds of peppers on them, and then they just sweat. So it always reminds me of that. So don't want you to do that. Just a little mix of it. I'm going to grab whisk. And you could also, because it has lime wedges for serving, so we're going to put the lime wedges with it so you can squeeze the lime on it so you get that nice acid even along with the rice wine vinegar. But you could, if you wanted to, after you taste the sauce, you could always add a little bit of lime juice to it too, or a little bit of lime zest, which would be really good. This is one of those ones that if you do a whole, let's just say you do a whole head of cauliflower, and then the next day you have leftovers, be really great on a salad or baked potato or, all those kind of different things, or just warm it up and eat it. But there's so many different things you could do with it. Okay, so paste. That's good. I'm gonna add just a little bit more, just because our preference, we like red pepper flakes. Red pepper flakes go on spaghetti, they go on all kinds of things here. Okay. If you don't feel like that your sauce is enough, and if you've got like a whole bunch of cauliflower, because maybe the head of the cauliflower that you bought was big, feel free to add just like a little bit more vegetable broth, so then it coats everything. And I'm going to do that just a little bit. Stir it in. Okay, cauliflower. So just cut up the cauliflower, and then if there was really big pieces, you can see I just kind of sliced them, and I didn't leave as much of the stems on them. So nice little florets. So I'm just going to add those in. Do a little stir on the bottom ones. Kind of get them coated. And keep adding. And this head of cauliflower that I'm doing right now was probably about this big. So I have a smaller version of it. And the rest. So you'll have a nice, and I'll show you here in just a second, nice beige coloring on it. And I'll show you what I'm going to do too to add, just because it's, to me, I think it's pretty. And it's all about, when you're eating food and stuff, it's all about, I always call it eye candy. So it's like if you ever do the meal prep, and then you put it all in these glass dishes, and then you put them in your refrigerator, and you open up your refrigerator, it's like, ooh, eye candy. Because everything, especially when you do everything plant-based, it's beautiful, especially in glass dishes. You've got the purples and the reds and the yellows and the oranges and the greens. Eating plant-based is very beautiful. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to add, and since I have some of the sesame seeds left, the black ones, I'm going to add those in. And just do a quick little stir again. And there we go. So there is, I don't want to slip it too much because I'll dump it right on the counter there, but there is the miso roasted cauliflower that I'm going to put in the oven and get it ready. Doesn't that look good? Smells wonderful. Smells almost kind of nutty, which is really nice. All right. Out, grab a little bit of the, don't want to lose all the black sesame seeds. Spread it out. Yep. Ready to go in the oven. Check my tofu really quick. Okay. We'll keep watching that. All right. Okay, so we got that. We'll leave the lime there because we don't need that just yet. We don't need the red pepper flakes, so we'll stop that. Pickles, pickled vegetables. So I made them ahead of time because it's definitely something you want to make ahead of time because otherwise you don't get the flavors. You can make them, I mean, if you want just a light pickling, so maybe you're not, a big fan of pickling things, but if you want just a light pickle, you can definitely make them that day and just let them sit for like 15, 20 minutes. They'll just be a really light type of a, kind of like a little bit of sweet, a little bit of acid type of flavor. They're really good, but I let them set. I did them last night and I let them set. So I'll show you here. So the radishes, and the nice thing about this too, with the pickling juice, you can actually pull it back out and use it for something else. So you're like, ooh, I'd like onions, and have these pink onions and stuff. You could definitely do that. So those were regular white radishes. So with, the red on the outside, and then it's got carrots. So I did the shredded, like the shredded carrots. So they've been soaking overnight. So the flavor, so they're really pretty. So when you think about when you're putting together a banh mi sandwich, you've got all these colors. You're going to have purple cabbages. You're going to have, the green with the cucumbers. You've got cilantro and, onions and things like that. And then you're going to have these beautiful, orange and kind of pink vegetables. And that's a lot of what is really good about banh mi. So they are a little bit of pickling, but I would say more kind of like a vinegar acid. But it's not where, like sometimes when you bite into something, you're like, and everything puckers up almost like a lemon. Not like that, because it has the black peppercorn. So if you look at the recipe, it's got a little bit of maple syrup, or you could do, you can use the monk fruit, you can use date paste, you can all use agave, whatever you'd like to do. It's got the vinegar, a little bit of soy sauce. It's got a little, wait, let me make sure. Yeah, the vinegar, it's got a little bit of water. It's got, you could use brown sugar if you want. I know a lot of people are like, don't like brown sugar. And it's got peppercorns and just a little bit of garlic. So there's the tempering between the acid and some of the heat and some of the sweetness. So they're just a really good. And I'm not a big pickled vegetable fan. So like when you see kind of things and you got the tacos and everything's like big pickle stuff all over. But this is a really mild pickling that I really like. And so this would be one that I'd be like, okay, maybe I'll add jalapenos and maybe I'll add something else, or that type of thing, and just keep using the liquid. So good, it's really good, but it's ready to go, and we'll drain some of those out to use those for the toppings on the banh mi. But you could, like I said, you could pickle your, the red cabbage, all the kind of different colors, just to have something that's beautiful. All right, so let's grab food processor, because we're going to make the Sriracha mayo. You can do, so the mayo, plug it in. If I can find the plug-in, here we go. So you can do the Sriracha mayo. You could do it, just grab it in a bowl, because you're using the silken tofu. So if you don't have, if you don't want to get out your food processor, don't have, and you'll notice my food processor, it's been through, I was watching a QVC last night, and they had the brand new food processor. It was like, it's beautiful, but this thing is probably 20 years old, still runs like a champ. So I'm like, I'll keep it until it finally decides to die. whatever it needs to do. So if you don't, like I said, if you don't want to bring out your food processor, don't want to bring out your blender, you can actually work with silken tofu and put it in a bowl and just use the whisk like I was using for the miso, and then just keep whisking it up and it'll get it really smooth. And it's actually very easy to use. So it's kind of a tip and trick without having to think about getting out the, the food processors and all the gadgets and stuff that we do have. I'm going to switch the tofu really quick with the miso. Do a little bit of. My oven, it's like I said, this is a new house, so we're trying to learn the oven and like how things are doing and all those type of things. So I'm just making sure that I don't need things to burn, let's put it that way. The other oven I knew like the back of my hand. I knew exactly how it would cook. This one is, and it was electric, and this is all gas. It's all just a little different. And I know you guys all experience that when you've got new houses. All right, perfect. Okay, so mayo. You can make this mayo up and use it for everything. Let's see. So what brand is your food processor? It's actually a Cuisinart. I was thinking I had a KitchenAid and stuff, but the KitchenAids are the brand new ones. But like I said, this one's like at least 20 years old, at least. And it's been dropped. It's because I've taken it to some of my cooking classes, the in-person cooking classes. So it's been dropped a couple times. Still keeps on working, which is actually great.
KitchenAid has these.
What brand? Yeah, I would say KitchenAid or Cuisinart are the two that I've seen that I think are great. And they're well priced. I think we saw one on QVC, was it last night? 13 cup, 169, but that included all the blades, included a whole bunch of other accessories with it. So, and all the colors. And it was nice too, because like this one, you have to, you have to lock the top and the actual part of the stuff that you're blending everything in. That one, all it was when it was that you just set it down and it just locked together, which was really nice. I was like, that's nice. So everything was just all, and then everything, all your accessories all stacked inside of it, which was beautiful too, because I have everything everywhere with this thing. All right, so silken tofu. Silken tofu, you can grab it, you can get it in boxes. So there is a brand, and I should show you, I should have grabbed one. Let me grab it, because I'll show you what you can get to put on the, I keep it in the pantry. So I get this at like a natural grocery type of store, Sprouts, everything like that. You can usually find this, and you can also order it on Amazon, but it is shelf safe, which is really nice. So you don't have to go and buy stuff that's all refrigerated. You can actually just use this. So it comes in a little box, and I always use like the silken, and I usually do the very firm. I just like the way the very firm holds up, but these are really nice to.
Non-GMO.
Yep, non-GMO, organic. This one is, yeah, it's organic. So it's Mori, M-O-R-I, New, N-U is the brand. So we're actually just gonna dump that in. So just kind of crumble it up a little bit. You have to drain it just a little bit when it's in these boxes, but we're talking less than a teaspoon of moisture. All right. We're following along. We've got 2/3 a cup of soy milk, almond milk, cashew milk, whatever you'd like to do. Let me just check. I keep smelling the tofu, the sauce, so I just want to make sure looks like we're doing good. It's like a smoky smell, so I always want to just check it. All right, we've got lemon juice, just for your freshness and your acid. You could also, let's just say that you get ready to make your the mayo, and you don't have lemon juice, one of the things, or lemons or anything like that around, you could actually substitute a little bit of the rice wine vinegar too. That'll give you that acid, which is really nice with that. All right, and then you've got prepared mustard, any type. I usually pick when I usually do the mayos, I usually do the Dijon. I like the Dijon, but you could use yellow mustard, any of the other flavors that you want. You could also do one if you had something that had like horseradish to completely change up the flavor. Okay, so that's the Dijon. And then we've got, I keep looking at the different ones. We've got granulated onion powder. A little bit of flavor there. And then you got sea salt, black pepper. So if you want to add that in, I'm not going to add that in here. And then because this is going for the tofu banh mi, we're doing the sriracha. So sriracha again. So I was going to say sriracha mayo, which is exactly what we're making. So the sriracha stuff because it's going to give a flavor. And then tomorrow or Saturday, because since I'll have extra of the mayo left over, I'm actually going to make mock, thank you. I had to think about what the word mock tuna salad. So it's going to be a different flavor. So it's going to give a little kick to the mock tuna salad. And that's made with garbanzo beans, everything else, but yay, that'll be great. Can you substitute tofu for mayo? Oh, so you're saying not to, are you asking not to use tofu? If you don't have onion powders to substitute, what else can you use? You could use a little bit of the garlic powder. That would work too. You don't want it, you do not want to substitute it 1 for 1 because it'll give you a garlic flavor. So let's say if you are using the 1/8 of a teaspoon, I'd use just a pinch, just enough. And then you could also just leave out the onion powder and the garlic powder and then just do a little bit of the sea salt and black pepper too. So you could just leave it out if you don't have that. So cups, can you substitute tofu for mayo? Someone?
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So this is what, so I'm going to be making the tofu mayo, but I'm not sure if you're asking, can I substitute something in place of tofu? So just let me know, just type in the chat and I'll answer that for you.
A regular store-bought mayo.
Yeah, we don't use any of the store-bought mayo. We make this up and there's a lot of times and stuff where I won't do the sriracha. And then what I do is I just make the regular mayo with everything else. And then I leave it in the fridge and Jerry will use it for all kinds of different things, or he'll make the mock tuna salad. But this is a good mayo that goes in mock tuna. It gives you a different flavor. So just blend. And it makes it a really pretty color too, the Sriracha does. Okay. 1 second, I'll answer the question. Make sure it's smooth. Beautiful. So one thing, if you've got a food processor, there's this little hole here, which is where the blade goes. When you're getting ready to show something or getting ready to tip it and you're dumping something from your food processor into a bowl, put your index finger and stuff right in that hole and it holds the blade. So you never have to worry about the blade plopping off and getting everything all over yourself. And I've seen that on many cooking shows. So there is the Sriracha mayo. Nice, beautiful color. It's going to be great in a mock tuna salad. It's going to give a little bit of kick and stuff, but yum. So in place, so tofu. All right, so let me think about this. What could I do? I'm going to plug this so to get this out of the way. What could I use? You know what? I would use white beans. So, the white cannellini beans. So garbanzo beans, unless you cook them. So Jerry had a great suggestion too. So garbanzo beans, if you cook them a lot, and then you make sure that there's like a outer kind of a skin on it. If you get that out, you could actually use that. But the better, the smoother, creamier is going to be your white cannellini beans. So just, the ones that are canned, drain out all the liquid, and then you could actually mix it up, add the flavors. You might have to add a little bit more, like maybe a little bit more pepper or a little bit more, that type of flavors just to try it, or maybe a little bit more mustard. But actually, it would work really well. And so you could cut out the tofu. Great question. I love that question because a lot of people ask me about the tofu. So white cannellini beans. All right, so there's my sriracha. I'm gonna check my tofu. Just give everything a quick stir. Like I say, you see a little bit of burnt here, but it's actually soaking up and becoming, so you'll see my tofu right now is still a little bit soft, but some of the pieces and stuff are getting more firm, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Separate them out, because the more you separate, the better it cooks. Perfect. Cauliflower is doing great. All right, so I'm going to show you the bread. And I'm not sure, it depends on where you're at, if you have this bread, but I know a lot of people see it. This is, so if you're around in Colorado, they have the thing called, it was like Udis. So UDIS, which was a great place to go for sandwiches and that. The Udis gentleman sold part of that business and then opened up Izzio, IZZIO, Artisan Bakery. And I've seen it, there's different places stuff you can buy. I'm not sure, I haven't looked to see if it was on Amazon. I wouldn't be surprised because everything's on Amazon anymore. But this is a great bread. And it's like this one here, when you're looking at the ingredients, there's very few ingredients. So you've got organic whole wheat flour, water. Then you've got organic, so wheat flour and then sea salt. Contains wheat.
No oil.
No oil. No eggs, no oil, no those type of things. So Izzio, which is great. So if somebody is on, like if you're on the computer now, look up and see if IZZIO is something you can get on Amazon. But they have all kinds of different flavors. But I have seen, I think one of their breads or something that had some oil in it. Was it like a multi-grain? But I think I can't remember what it was, but the rest of them, all clean, non-GMO, organic. Yeah, Whole Foods may have them if Whole Foods are, across the United States, but this one is a really good one. So this is just an organic sourdough. And they have like all kinds of different baguettes, different types of breads, whole wheat, all kinds of, yes, it's there. Yay, thank you. So I would recommend trying some of them because they're, like I said, non-GMO, organic, and then the actual ingredients and stuff, there's hardly anything in it. And they're yummy. So you could actually take, if you get, like, just say if it's Amazon and they make you buy 12 to a case or something like that, you could actually take them and then freeze them and then pull them out. And they're just really good. Like if you want to have spaghetti and a little bit of bread or something.
Different types.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different types out there. So. Are there any reliable, trusted blenders for smoothies, et cetera, that is quiet, easy to use, or easy to clean? So okay. So some people may be like, they disagree with me, let's put it that way. NutriBullet, I've had a couple of them before, and they don't last. So it's a more economical, but I've seen them lately, they've been getting really expensive, more economical blender to blend with, or, for cost wise. But the problem is if there gets too much product in it, or you get a lot of ice, because that's what you want, that cold smoothies, they tend to break down and they don't last long. So I've just gone to Vitamix. I love Vitamix. And they're kind of noisy, of course, at the first, if you put ice in them and, something like that, but they are probably one of the fastest, easiest. The other one is Blendtec. And that's another, I like the immersion blender, Cuisinart. Yeah, immersion blenders are good, but they don't necessarily, if you're looking for that smoothie and making lots of smoothies. But I love that Cuisinart. I've got one of those too that I used. Jerry just used it for soup because he was taking over some soup to his sister today. So he was just blending everything up. But Vitamix is great. Blendtec is great. I've seen both of them. And I'm not trying to say anything about QVC. Jerry loves QVC, so it's on the TV a lot. But they have those there on QVC, and they do like anywhere from 5, 6, sometimes like up to 8 payments. And so a great way to get, a $300-400 blender, because they are expensive, but it lasts forever. I have a Vitamix that's probably, I don't know, 15 plus years old. Never had an issue with it. The only issue I had is, and I'll show you this. You'll see how this is how good the product is. So we were at a cooking class, and what ended up happening is the lid, so you can see my lid, all crunched up. The lid was inside of here because I had the actual, the stir here. So I had this in there. So this is in there, but didn't see it. And the blend that got switched on. And so it crunched up my plastic top, which still works, but it cracked it right here. So if you see these cracks and stuff on here, I was like, oh my gosh, because it was we're getting ready to use it for the summit. And I was like, oh my gosh, somebody's gonna put liquid in here and it's gonna go all over the table. Didn't. It cracked the inside, but the outside's still perfect. So I'm gonna eventually buy a new one of these, but in the meantime, I've used it this way for probably 4 years. And it still works to this day. That's how good the product is. So love in the kitchen with David on set. Yes. Yep, you are Jerry's, you're talking to Jerry's heart. He will watch dance. He watched David last night because he's on Wednesdays, and he's, he does that happy dance, all that, so loves him.
And you get some deals.
Yes. All right, so I've got this baguette It's really a big piece. You could do, if you got, so you're by yourself, if you want to do something that's, smaller than this, grab some of the smaller ones. If you want, to do almost like a foot long because you have a big baguette, you could do that. This is a really fun recipe. Hopefully I think I may have cut it because I wasn't looking what I was doing. I'll do it this way. But this is one that if, when things are starting to open up with summer and COVID and all those things, this is a great recipe to do. And you could, lay everything out almost like a buffet if you have friends over, and then they could decide what they want. So if they want to put the pickled vegetables, or they want to use the mayo or cilantro, and everybody can just make all their different things, which is fun. So since I'm going to make it as a sandwich, I'm going to pull some of the bread out. Keep the bread. It's always a good tip. You could freeze it and things, but keep the bread and make croutons. And you get them for your salad. So if you decide like tomorrow, hey, I want a really good salad, and I'm going to use some of the tofu and those type of things, it's a good way and stuff to have croutons that are ready. So I'm just taking some of it out because otherwise you get this huge amount of bread. But if you want it, leave it. Okay, there we go. So just kind of give it a little bit there. So that way I can pile all these vegetables in there, and then I've got more vegetables and the tofu and everything else versus all the bread. So I'm going to grab my sheet over here so I can scrape this off. And on the croutons like this here, you could actually add like some garlic powder, onion powder, whatever flavors, just a little bit of salt and pepper if you wanted to, put them in the oven and then toast them all up, and then you've got croutons. Yummy. I do that with extra leftover cornbread. Make cornbread croutons. There is nothing better on a salad than like these little cornbread croutons. It's one of the most, when we were having the cooking classes face to face, that's one of the things that I would make all the time is the cornbread croutons, and everybody put them on salads and loved them. Okay, I'm gonna grab a couple things. So I thought, just because it's fun, and I never get to use this except once in a blue moon, because I have this little, it's kind of like sandwich paper that when you go to certain places up in there. So I was like, okay, I'm going to use this for the banh mi. The amount I spent on cheaper blenders, I could have, yeah, I know. Yeah, but definitely watch QVC. They do like deals all the time, and you could actually do it on payments, which is really nice because then you're not putting out like $400 right at one time. Yeah, I think they're getting down to like 300 now. They're getting so unbelievably inexpensive. So I'm gonna put the paper in there because it's kind of fun. And usually I do everything on white dishes, but I thought, nah, let's do something fun. And then I have another sheet that I'll do for when the cauliflower comes out. But someday when I get around to putting my second cookbook together, I can have some pictures that are pretty too. All right, so let me grab. The tofu is probably close to being ready. And that's perfect. So I'm gonna one leg. All right, so my tofu. So it's going to cool off a little bit. Right now it's really hot, but you can see that the color that's picked up the really nice color of that, and it's all ready to go. So I'm just going to let it set out just a little bit. But let me try a piece, something that's little. Really good flavor. A little bit of kick because of the sriracha. So if you don't like kick, leave the sriracha. All right, I'll just put that up here, let it cool off. Because once you let it go through, so when it first comes out, you may think, it's not firm enough, but let it cool off a little bit and stuff, and then it firms up really well. All right, let me check my cauliflower. I'll pull that out and show everybody. Stir it up a little bit so I can get some of the sauces off to the side. And it doesn't take long when you're roasting vegetables. It doesn't take long for like cauliflower and things like that to get ready. It's really nice. See, like I said, I'm learning the oven. Likes to burn things a little bit, like it's close. So let me just try one. About 2 more minutes, but that is yummy. We'll do David. Happy dance, happy dance. Mona will know that.
She's laughing.
Yeah, he does the happy dance, happy dance. All right, let's get things ready. All right, so I'm going to take so if you're following along, so you've got the baguettes. So what I'm going to do that first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the oven because I'm going to toast it up. Nothing better than something that's toasty. Put that in a couple minutes. So Sriracha mayo. That's really good. Like I said, it has a kick because and so if you want just a little bit of flavor and stuff, we were putting, so on this we did 4 to 5 teaspoons of Sriracha, maybe only put like 1 teaspoon, but that's good. And that and mock tuna salad, like with the pickles and the onions and everything else, and celery, good. How long does real maple syrup last? So when you open up, most of the time, like real maple syrup and stuff, the minute you open it up, you're going to want to put it in the fridge. And so in the fridge and stuff, I've seen it last like 2, 3, 4 months with absolutely no problem, especially if you get more in like the glass jars versus the plastic. You could too, if you wanted to, you could put it like if you got like maybe the plastic, and because it came in that way, you could add that to like a mason jar and then use, what I've been doing lately is I've been using the plastic lids instead of the metal. And I'll show you which. I ordered like my spin on Amazon. Sorry, it's just they have everything right now. And I think we got so used to them because of, COVID, and you want to have things. I bought these little, plastic lids, and I know you can get them in the stores too. Then they have a little bit of a rubber edge here. They are great. So like if you make those, the jar salads and anything else, this keeps the plastic of it. And I know it's plastic, but I think I was going to sneeze here with the Sriracha. Sriracha got up my nose. But the plastic keeps that, so usually if you put the metal lids on there and it's not something that you've done, like when you're saving the vegetables and you've done all the processing and things like that, the plastic keeps it from like oxidizing. So every once in a while, like when I would have just the regular metal lid and I'd have the mayo in a jar, in the little jars and stuff, I would notice that there was almost like a aluminum or something type of a flavor on the top. So once I've gone to plastic like this, these lids, and you just keep washing them out and everything, I don't have that problem. And then you don't get mold that builds up on the top too, which is really nice. And you can get these, you can get all sizes on Amazon, and I think this was like 16 or 12 or 16 to a box. And I think it was like $10 or something. Really nice. All right, let's talk the toasted bread. Got 1 more minute. Yeah, so like the tofu, now that I can hold it, see where it's nice and firm, that's when it's the best. And it gets firmer. Like if you put it in the refrigerator and it's cold the next day and you can just heat it up, it gets even firmer, which is really nice. That's really good. Watch my time. Okay, we're right on time. All right, I'm going to take out the bread. Got a nice, warm, nice and toasty. Turn the oven off. Open it up so we get the cauliflower doesn't burn. Okay, so then see how thick this gets once it sits? It's really nice. But you could do the same thing with the white cannellini beans. And thank you for making me think about that for a minute. That was a great question. All right, top and bottom. It's going to make some really good mock tuna salad. That's probably one of Jerry's favorites. I can do 2 cans of garbanzo beans and make almost like the big bowl that I was using of mock tuna salad, and it'll be gone like 2 or 3 days. He will eat.
That makes 10 sandwiches.
Yeah, 2. So he said 2 cans of garbanzo beans makes 10 sandwiches. I prefer, my favorite is to take like crackers. So the Wassa crackers and those, I'll take those and stuff and then basically pile the mock tuna salad on top. Yum. lettuce, all that kind of thing on top. It's great. Okay, so they get that. So spread, they got the mayo on there. So we're gonna do the layers of I'm gonna do the tofu. Let me grab, there we go. I'm gonna do the tofu on the bottom. If, like I said, you know, if you want to do really long strips, you could definitely do that. Just kind of fill it up. And there's the tofu, we have more than enough, like on this size of a sandwich, we have more than enough to actually do a whole nother sandwich tomorrow. Yeah, fill in, there we go. Yes, I did. So for Elizabeth, yeah, so I basically just took the tofu, drained it, you know, out of the container, drained the liquid out, put, basically take 2 paper towels, folded them up, put the tofu on top, and then I just covered it with like some plastic wrap because I usually make these trays up the night before, and then I just put it in the fridge. And so it just soaks all the moisture out, and it's so easy. So you don't need to go buy a tofu press. I've had one, but I rarely ever use it. That's usually how I do it. And if you want even more water out, then just put something with a little bit of weight, like a bowl on top of it, like put more paper towels on top and a bowl, and it'll even soak out more of the moisture. So yeah, that's as easy as it gets. Okay, so then we have all these wonderful vegetables. So we've got ribbons, which are cucumber. So you can just kind of, you know, you can kind of twirl them up, make them really pretty. They'll kind of stay a little bit. Separate them out. I am not a cucumber fan, so they will come off the sandwich when we sit down to eat it, but Jerry likes cucumbers. And I basically, when I do the cucumbers, I took out most of the skin, but then put left the rest on. So it just has the color and the prettiness. And then I kind of, you know, do a little bit on the side. We're going to have a pretty picture. Okay. Then green cabbage. Make sure we get. This ends up being a really big sandwich, which is really nice. Jerry's favorite. When I'm sitting here cutting up cabbage, shredding it and all those, first thing he's doing is like his hand is in the cabbage. We'll sit there and just eat it. Probiotic. He says, as he says, probiotic, red cabbage or purple cabbage, whichever you would like to call it. You can tell I'm kind of doing everything kind of just a little bit on one side, just because when we take the picture, it'll be really pretty. Okay, so we've got the cucumber, we've got the cabbage on there, we've got onions. You could pickle the onions too. I just did regular white onions. You could do scallions. Just a little bit. We're big onions and garlic fan. Pretty much in everything. Okay, there we go. You could do red onions too if you wanted to. Right there. Okay, a little bit of cilantro. So I'm gonna wait here just a second for that. Pickled vegetables. Bring them out a little bit. Give my hand. There we go. More. Oops, bring them out. It's pretty. It's like a Easter pink of radishes, which is really pretty. A couple more down here. A couple more carrots. All right. Yum. Then we've got the cilantro. Cilantro, I have another one. It will cilantro will come off before I eat my sandwich. But banh mi is cilantro. I've actually seen sometimes Thai basil. Okay, we're going to hold that off to the side for a second, and we are going to grab hot fire. I want to be able to show you everything. I'll show you dinner. Trying to get it, if I did it so it would collapse evenly. If you don't like cauliflower, broccoli would be another one. Zucchini. I've been doing zucchini in the mornings and just basically a little bit of vegetable broth and then putting the coconut aminos on it. Really good. Because I have lots of zucchini left over from a recipe. All right. We need black sesame seeds. Just a few more. Scallions. Nothing better when you add scallions to things. It's just pretty. Let's color. Sorry, doorbell rings. All right. And I think we're just gonna make sure we got everything. Okay. This. I'm going to tip it a little bit, it's easier to see. And we are almost there. Okay, so we have, Jerry ran to answer the doorbell. We have the miso roasted cauliflower. Make sure you can see that really well. That looks like that's good. And it's pretty. You've got it in the green and white, and you can get these kind of things, which is really fun. These are fun for sandwiches. I use these for gyros and all that. And then that is the tofu banh that Jerry and I get to eat tonight. So
cut it in little pieces, right?
No, you'll probably eat half. So there we go. There is dinner tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions or anything like that, or any, asking for substitutions, I mean, that's like, you can take that to a picnic and stuff, or just put it outside because it's so nice outside right now.
Pieces though.
Yeah, you could definitely cut it in pieces. You could say, okay, I'm going to eat half tonight and half tomorrow. Enjoy. That's what this is about, and then enjoy the different things. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want you to try the recipes. If you do and you substitute something, please let me know. Like I said, this is all about community. Please share pictures on the meetup site. We'd love to see pictures when you're like cooking along with me or making things. But please enjoy. So we will see you in 2 weeks coming up. There's lots of good things coming up, and we got through May for classes, and I will get the June ones out soon. So hope to see you soon, guys. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.